So Moses and Aaron, their job is now to tell Pharaoh that he must let the Israelites go. And God has told them that he will not say yes right away. God's going to show his mighty acts. Do you know, boys and girls, that the Egyptians worshipped a lot of different things? One thing they worshipped, believe it or not, was the river Nile. They worshipped it. They even worshipped, they had a frog god. And they had a lice god. And now God's going to show his power to the Egyptians. So God says to Moses and Aaron, I want you to go to the riverbank early in the morning. I want you to be at the riverbank before Pharaoh comes. And then when he comes down, I want you to say to him, thus says the Lord, you need to let my people go and worship. Because if you don't, I am going to strike this river, and I'm going to strike all the ponds and the lakes in Egypt, and they will all turn to blood. So when Pharaoh came down to the river, there were Moses and Aaron. They were already waiting for them. And they said, when the Pharaoh came to them, they said, we are here to tell you that God has said to you, let my people go, that they can worship you, worship in the wilderness. And they said, if you do not, we're going to strike the river. And that's what they did. Aaron took his rod, and he struck the water of the Nile, and it turned into blood. And all the fish died, and everything died that was in it. But also the ponds, even the water that was standing in a pail in the courtyard or something, it turned to blood. And the people could not even drink anything. Pharaoh thought, I wonder if my magicians can do that. So he got his magicians, and they tried to make water turn into blood, and they could do it too. They did it with the power of the devil. And then Pharaoh thought, he just walked away. He went back to his palace, and he did not let the people go. So then 7 days passed, and the Egyptians, you know what they had to do? They had to dig in the ground to get some of the water out of the ground table to get new water, because they had no water to drink. And 7 days went by, and then God said to Moses and Aaron, you need to go, and you need to go to Pharaoh, and you need to say, God says, let my people go. Because if you don't, I'm going to raise my rod, and I'm going to bring frogs out of the river. And there's going to be frogs everywhere. There's going to be frogs in the palace. There's going to be frogs in the bedroom. There'll be frogs on the bed, frogs in the kitchen, frogs in the oven. There's going to be frogs everywhere. And so Aaron raised his rod, and that's what happened. Great big groups of frogs came out. They started hopping everywhere. They were everywhere. They were in people's bowls and in the beds. They were hopping all over the place. And Pharaoh said, I wonder if my magicians could do that. Sure enough, they could do it too. But it was the power of God. Aaron did it with the power of God, but they did it with the power of the devil. After a while, Pharaoh thought, it was so terrible, these frogs everywhere. So he called Moses and Aaron. So Moses and Aaron came to the place where he was, the palace, and he said could you please pray to God and ask him to take these frogs away, and I will let the people go then. I will let the people go to worship in the wilderness. And Moses said, well, when would you like me to pray to God? I'm going to give you the honor of you can decide when you would like me to pray to God to take these frogs away. Tomorrow, said the Pharaoh. Tomorrow. So then when Moses and Aaron left the palace, Moses said to the Lord, please let these frogs go away tomorrow. And that's what the Lord did. The next day, all those frogs died. And they had to put them on piles. They put them on piles. And the whole land was stinking so much of all those dead frogs. They had piles of frogs everywhere. But when Pharaoh saw that the frogs were dead, he said, no, you are not going to go. I changed my mind. And God said to Moses and Aaron, tell Aaron to strike his rod on the dust of the land. And so that's what Aaron did. And this time there was some versions say gnats or lice, wee little like insects that bite and it make you itchy. And they were all over the animals and all over the people. And Pharaoh said, I wonder if my magicians could do this. The magicians tried and they couldn't do it. They said, this is the finger of God. This is something only God can do. But Pharaoh's heart was hard, and he did not let the people go.